Welcome to Gridiron Ring. I'm your host, Luke96. Be sure to follow Gridiron Ring on all social media. Links are in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right here on YouTube, Periscope, and go check out Gridiron Ring's website. Today, 2018 NFL preview with Week 1 predictions. If you watched my 2018 college football preview with Week 1 predictions, going to be the same thing today. Be sure to go check out my college football Week 2 predictions as well. That video is up here on YouTube, so go check that out. But today, 2018 NFL preview with Week 1 predictions. Was going to do games to watch in my college one and in this NFL preview, but you know, cut back on the time there. Plus, I already did a NFL schedule release video back when the schedule came out back in the spring, back in April. So go to the football playlist. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. It's not that hard to find. It'll be called something like 2018 NFL schedule release discussion, and it has all the good games for the upcoming 2018 NFL campaign. So I was going to do that, but I'm not. So I'll get right into awards and playoff predictions, and then I'll get right into my Week 1 predictions for the 2018 NFL season. So awards, I'll start off with the offense and defensive rookie of the year. The offensive rookie of the year, I think, is going to go to Saquon Barkley, running back for the New York Football Giants. The defensive rookie of the year, I think it's going to go to Bradley Chubb, defensive end for the Denver Broncos. Both guys were picked in the top 5 in this past year's NFL draft. Rookie of the year in general, though, I think Saquon Barkley is going to win that. Now, you might say, you know, there's some bias behind that because he went to Penn State. You know, he's going to the New York Football Giants, so who really now have one of the most high-powered offenses in the National Football League with Odell Beckham Jr., a wide receiver, just signed a extension with the Giants. Eli Manning, still an elite quarterback, still has 2 championships, 2 Super Bowl championships under his belt. You know, their defense, they can get that figured out. The Giants, I think they can go far in the playoffs. I do have them winning the NFC East, and I'll get to that here in a minute. Offensive and defensive player of the year, I think defensive is going to go to Luke Kuechly. I don't know how many years he's been in the NFL, but the former linebacker out of Boston College. The offensive player of the year, though, along with the MVP award, I think is going to go to quarterback Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. Bring in Jimmy Graham to be basically another receiver for him. You know, they drafted some other guys to help out on the offensive side. The defense, they let some guys go, but they brought some new guys in as well. I just think the Packers, they'll be one of the best teams in the NFC this year. I think Mike McCarthy, because of that, will win Coach of the Year. But Packers will be right now to go into the NFL season. Now, I might change my mind, you know, come halfway through the year. And, you know, I can do that if I want, because I can do whatever the hell I want on this show. I think the Packers will be one of the best teams in the NFC, and I think the Steelers and Patriots will be 2 of the best teams in the AFC. And I think we could see that rematch from Week 15, I believe it was last year, in the playoffs this year. They do play late in the year as well again this year. But Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, will win MVP. Mike McCarthy, Coach of the Year. Aaron Rodgers will also win Offensive Player of the Year. Luke Kuechly will win Defensive Player of the Year. Saquon Barkley will take home Rookie of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Bradley Chubb will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Playoff predictions now. I know you might be thinking, well, holy hell, this is going pretty quick. Well, as I said, I was going to do games to watch, but I already did a video of that back in April when the schedules came out, so it's basically pointless to do that again. Just go over everything I said before, and to cut down on time, because NFL Week 1 predictions are in this video as well, coming up here at the end of the show. But my playoff predictions, now, not in any order, just going by each division in the AFC and NFC respectively, and I'll start in the AFC. Not in any order. Now, the wild card teams, they'll play whoever's 5 and 6, they'll play 3 and 4 respectively in the playoffs come wild card weekend. But how I'm going to run down through this, the 6, the first 2, the East and the North, I'm just going, you know, geographically. If you think I have the whoever winning the East playing wild card 2 in the first round, you're crazy, because that's not how it goes. 3 will play 6, as I said. 4 will play 5 in the wild cards. The first 2 teams will get a bye, and then the lower remaining seed will play the higher remaining seed, and so on and so forth. But AFC East, I have the New England Patriots winning the division once again. They've won the division, oh God, 15 years in a row, basically. And maybe the 1 year when Brady was hurt, they didn't win it, if I can remember correctly on that now. But basically every other year, they've won the AFC East, and they've basically owned the Buffalo Bills, the New York Jets, and the Miami Dolphins. I don't see any of those 3 teams making the playoffs this year. The Bills, they named Nathan Peterman their starting quarterback for Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. Do I have that game on my list for Week 1 predictions? No, I do not. Peterman, though, last year in his first career start, he did throw 5 interceptions against the Los Angeles Chargers. He's come a long way since then, but, you know, I think Baltimore's defense will get to the Bills. I think the Ravens will beat the Bills Week 1, even though I don't have that game in my Week 1 predictions. But the Bills drafted Josh Allen. They're going to start Nathan Peterman in Week 1. They just traded A.J. McCarron to Oakland on Saturday after Oakland released Connor Cook and Martavis Bryant, along with some other key pieces from the past couple years. But John Gruden's doing John Gruden out in Oakland, and what he says goes. Bills, maybe the next couple years, Josh Allen can build off of something, and you know, they can build towards the future, and maybe dethrone the New England Patriots by the time Tom Brady retires. The Jets, they named Sam Darnold the Week 1 quarterback to start the season. They traded Teddy Bridgewater, so Darnold and Josh McCown are your 2 quarterbacks in New York with the Jets. Other than that, the Jets really don't have anything going for them. They don't. I'm sorry to say, but they don't. The Dolphins, Tannehill's back. They got rid of Jarvis Landry. He's in Cleveland now. They traded Jay Ajayi last year during the season. They got Kenny and Drake now at running back. Other than that, they don't have anybody else on offense. Yeah, they do have Kenny Stills and shit. Who's the other receiver I'm trying to think of? If you know, let me know down in the comments below. They did draft, drawing a blank on that for some reason. They did draft, however, Mike Gesicki with the 41st overall pick in this past year's draft. Rob Gronkowski was also drafted with the 41st overall pick back in 2010. Is that a coincidence? I don't know, but the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills really don't have anything going for them, so the Patriots will win the AFC East. The AFC North, I had the Pittsburgh Steelers winning the division once again. The Bengals, you got Andy Dalton possibly going into his last year with Cincinnati. You got Baltimore drafting Lamar Jackson to potentially come in and replace Joe Flacco in a couple years. They did keep 3 quarterbacks during the cut here. So Joe Flacco, RG3, and Lamar Jackson are quarterbacks for the Baltimore Ravens. The Browns, yeah, they brought in Jarvis Landry. They drafted Baker Mayfield at number 1. They drafted, who was it from Ohio State at 4? Denzel Ward, I believe. when they could have took Saquon at 1, Saquon Barkley at 1, and Baker at 4. Now the Jets supposedly did like Baker at 3 there, but they ended up getting Sam Darnold because the Browns took Baker at 1. A lot of people are still questioning that decision. He has looked all right in the preseason, but as of now, Tyrod Taylor will be starting Week 1 for the Cleveland Browns. And I mean, other than that, the AFC North, yeah, Pittsburgh, Le'Veon Bell still hasn't reported to camp, reported to the team. But other than that, I mean, the AFC North could be one of the toughest divisions in football this year, with all the talent that all the teams have, especially the Browns, more so now than in the past probably 10 years. Probably since last time they made the playoffs, which was back in 2002 season. But I think Pittsburgh, they win the AFC North. Cleveland, they won't finish 0-16 this year again. They will not do that. They might win one game, I don't know. They'll probably finish 4-12 or 6-10, somewhere in there, 5-11. Pittsburgh, I don't see any of the 3 other teams that are making the playoffs either. So New England and Pittsburgh win the East and North respectively. The AFC South, Houston Texans I think will win this division. Deshaun Watson coming back from injury. We all saw what he did last year before he went down against the Seattle Seahawks on the road. 1 week after they almost beat New England in Foxborough and opened the season this year, Houston goes back to Foxborough. And I have that game on my list. I'll get to that here in a minute. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are also in the AFC South, along with the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. Jaguars went away the AFC Championship game last year. Should have won that game, but Tom Brady did his thing and came back and led the Patriots to another Super Bowl. They ended up losing to the Philadelphia Eagles, who play the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday night. I'll get to that game here in a minute as well, and I'll be on Periscope for that Falcons-Eagles game come Thursday night at 8:30 on NBC. But Andrew Luck, he's coming back for the Colts. Marcus Mariota coming back for the Titans. Blake Bortles re-signed with the Jaguars. So no new faces at quarterback in the AFC South. This could also be one of the toughest divisions in football if Andrew Luck plays well, when he's healthy here. But I think Houston's just too high-powered. I think Deshaun Watson, he could potentially win Offensive Player of the Year, potentially MVP. He had one hell of a year before he went down, before he blew his knee out again against the Seahawks last year. But I think the Houston Texans will win the AFC South, and they'll be playing. I don't think they'll get a bye. I think they'll be playing during Wild Card Weekend against somebody in the Wild Card. And I have a team from the South and the West in the Wild Card. So I'll get to those here in a minute. AFC West, the Oakland Raiders, I think, will win the AFC West. John Gruden coming back, old Chucky, getting back into coaching after being out of the business for 10 years, been working for ESPN since then. The Broncos, yeah, they had Case Keenum. He had a good year last year, best year of his career. They signed him to a 2-year, $45 million deal. They did release Paxton Lynch. They do have Chad Kelly. They did draft Royce Freeman, the Denver Broncos did. They also have Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders coming back. They drafted Bradley Chubb to go alongside Von Miller. The Broncos could potentially win this division, but I have the Raiders. Also in the AFC West, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback taking over for Alex Smith, who's now in Washington with the Redskins. You have Kareem Hunt coming back. You have, who else you have on the Chiefs? Sammy Watkins is there. Justin Houston on the defensive side. Tom Bahali, since retired, a longtime Kansas City Chief. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else is in Kansas City. No one that really comes to mind, but Andy Reid still there as the head coach. Normally when one of his teams makes the playoffs, they always lose. They always blow it somehow. and I think the Chiefs will blow it late in the year. They'll be in contention to make the playoffs. They'll blow it late in the year. Oakland will potentially beat them there, and make a run there and then win the AFC West. You also have the Los Angeles Chargers, who I think will make the playoffs. I think it's going to come down to between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Denver Broncos for one of the wild card spots. Excuse me, maybe both of them. If the Jaguars, who are my other wild card team, have somewhat of a down year, I think they'll have a decent year. 9-7, 10-6, good enough to make the playoffs. Should they change the playoff rules? Some people will say so. I don't think so. I think it's fine how it is. Just keep it how it is. The Raiders, as I said, will win the West. The Chargers will be the one wild card team, and the Jacksonville Jaguars will be the other. So I think the Patriots and Steelers will get the byes. If the Raiders are good enough, though, they could potentially get a bye. They play Pittsburgh at home on Saturday Night Football late in the year. But New England and Pittsburgh will get byes. If I do go by this, even though I said, it won't be, but if I do go by this, I would have the Jaguars going to Houston wildcard weekend and the Chargers going to Oakland wildcard weekend. And then, teams who win that move on, obviously, play the two teams that were on byes. But my AFC teams in the playoffs, the Patriots, the Steelers, the Texans, Raiders, Chargers, and Jaguars. The Chargers just brought back Antonio Gates. Phillip Rivers' Hall of Fame career dwindling down. They do have Melvin Gordon there at running back still. They do have Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa on the defensive line. So we'll see how the Chargers do. Injuries have always hurt them in recent years. It seems like every year injuries hurt them and they're out of contention. But those are my 6 teams from the AFC that I think will make the playoffs. If you guys have questions, I will answer them, or try to answer them at least. Drop them down in the comments below. As I said, be sure to go like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring on all social media. Links are in the description below, so scroll down and check those out. The NFC East, the New York Football Giants will win the NFC East. You also have the Washington Redskins, who I think, you bring in Alex Smith. Also Adrian Peterson, because Darius Geis goes down with an ACL injury during camp. I think the Redskins could have a decent year with Jay Gruden head coach still, but I don't think it's going to be good enough with how... I think the NFC this year will be better than the AFC overall. With how good the NFC is, I don't think the Redskins come close to even sniffing the playoffs. You also have the Dallas Cowboys and the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, who, surprisingly, I don't have in the playoffs. Normally, whenever you go to the Super Bowl, whether you win or lose, you rarely ever make the playoffs the next year. Carson Wentz is currently hurt. Nick Foles will be starting Week 1 against Atlanta on Thursday night to open the season. And the New York Giants, as I said, in my opinion, have one of the most high-powered offenses in the National Football League now. So the New York Football Giants will win the NFC East. The NFC North, I think, belongs to the Green Bay Packers. You want to talk about good quarterbacks, maybe the best division with quarterbacks? You got Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. You got Matthew Stafford in Detroit. You got Mitch Trubisky, a young second-year quarterback in Chicago. And then the Minnesota Vikings signed Kirk Cousins to a 3-year, $84 million deal, all guaranteed. You want to talk about a division with maybe the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL? Go to the NFC North. The Packers, I think, will win the division. As I said, they bring in Jimmy Graham, get Aaron Rodgers some more pieces. The Lions got a brand new head coach, Matt Patricia. Never coached a regular season NFL game in his life as a head coach. The Vikings, they came close to going to the Super Bowl last year, lost to the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, and that was with Case Keenum, who's now in Denver at quarterback. And you bring in, and that was without Dalvin Cook as well, because he blew his knee out. But now you bring in Kirk Cousins as your quarterback. You still have everything else on defense, maybe the best defense in the NFL at the moment. and you still have everything else on offense. Yeah, offensive line coach Tony Soprano passed away 2 months ago, and yeah, they'll be playing for him all season long. But I think the Packers win the North. The Bears are still young. Another first-year head coach, Matt Nagy. They brought in Allen Robinson in free agency from Jacksonville, coming off a ACL injury though. So Trubisky has weapons. He's got a good running back in Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen. I think the Bears, the future is very, very bright. They also just traded for Khalil Mack the other day. Khalil Mack is no longer a member of the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders traded Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears for 2 first-round picks. So Mack is now in Chicago with the Bears, signed I believe it was a 6-year deal as well with Chicago. But speaking of the Minnesota Vikings, don't want to go too far with them. I still have them making the playoffs as a wild card, but I think the Packers will win the NFC North. The NFC South, I think, will belong to the New Orleans Saints. The Saints, Drew Brees is still there at quarterback. They still have Alvin Kamara, who won Rookie of the Year last year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. And they have Mark Ingram. He is going to be out for 4 games due to a suspension, but he'll be back after that. They still have Michael Thomas. Defense is all right. The rest of the NFC South, I think Carolina is going to have a down year. You lose a veteran running back in Jonathan Stewart. Yeah, you still have Christian McCaffrey, but that veteran presence, especially in the backfield, when you have to run the ball to win games, I think it's going to hurt. They really don't have any number 1 receivers. They drafted DJ Moore out of Maryland after trading Kelvin Benjamin at the trade deadline last year. They do have Greg Olsen still, who I have on one of my fantasy teams. And so hopefully, he has a good year, so I have a good year in fantasy football. Thomas Davis is back at linebacker. The Panthers, they could have a 8-8 year, I think. Same with the Atlanta Falcons. They do have also have one of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL to go along with the New York Giants. But Atlanta, you got to play New Orleans, Carolina, and Tampa twice a year, just as anybody would in their own division. Yeah, you do have Devontae Freeman running the ball for you. Matt Ryan, a former MVP, slinging it downfield to Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, who they drafted out of Alabama in the first round this past year, and Mohamed Sanu. So the Falcons, as I said, I think the NFC overall is better than the AFC this year. More teams will be in contention, I think, come late in the year to make the playoffs. I think the Panthers, even though I think they'll finish like 8-8, 9-7, I think they'll be in that mix. Same with the Falcons. But there's another team on the NFC South that I think will make the playoffs, and I think that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jameis Winston, yeah, he is suspended for 4 games as well at quarterback for the Bucs. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he'll be starting. They have a rookie running back in Ronald Jones III out of USC. They have maybe the best wide receiving core in the NFL with Vincent Jackson. Why am I drawing a blank on that? Vincent Jackson has since retired. Played for the Chargers and Buccaneers. Mike Evans. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on that. They have Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, and Chris Godwin, along with Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard at tight end. So anything can happen. That's why they play the games. And these are my predictions. You guys, might think otherwise, but these are my predictions. So, one more division to go over, and then I'll recap who I have winning each division. Like I said, if you guys have questions, hit me up on social media. Gridiron Ring, Gridring 18, Colehan Luke 96. Drop them down in the comments below if you guys have questions. Like I said, I'll try to answer them. But then the NFC West, one more division I'll recap, tell you who I have in the Super Bowl, and then I'll get into my Week 1 college football predictions, or Week 1 NFL predictions. Be sure to go check out college football Week 2 predictions. NFC West, the San Francisco 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo will win the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks, I think, this dynasty that they so-called had, I think it's over. Richard Sherman, who was part of the Seahawks, he's in San Francisco now, signed in free agency this year. The Arizona Cardinals, they have a rookie quarterback in Josh Rosen. Sam Bradford is also there to give some veteran experience to him, who will be the future of the Cardinals. And then you also have the LA Rams, who made the playoffs last year for the first time in God knows how many years, with third year quarterback now, Jared Goff. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL, one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. So I think the Rams, they could also make a push. But, the 49ers, I think, offense, you're going to be the ones to put up points. That's how it's always been. Offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. So maybe the Rams, win the division. But the 49ers, I think they'll put more points up against those three teams all year long. I know they have to play them twice. Just like I said earlier, everybody has to play other teams in your division twice a year. But the 49ers, I think, will make the playoffs as the NFC West champs. And then I have the Vikings and Buccaneers, as I said, in the wild card. And I'll say it once more, the NFC has better teams than the AFC again this year, I think. I think overall the NFC is better than the AFC. And I'm saying that as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan who, should be rooting for the AFC all year long. So the AFC East, I think the Patriots will win. The AFC North, the Steelers will win. The AFC South, the Texans. AFC West, the Oakland Raiders. The wild card, one of the wild card teams in the AFC, I believe, will be the Los Angeles Chargers, and the other wild card team in the AFC will be the Jacksonville Jaguars. The NFC East, the Giants. The NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. The NFC South, the Saints. The NFC West, San Francisco 49ers. And then the two wildcard teams in the NFC, the Vikings and Buccaneers, respectively. And then Super Bowl 53 is on February the 3rd, 2019 on CBS. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers will win MVP. Normally, if you win MVP, you lose in the Super Bowl if you're there. So, you might say I'm biased on that, but I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will be the Super Bowl 53 champions come February the 3rd. What? 6 months today, as of today. So that's my 2018 NFL preview. Here are my NFL Week 1 predictions. The Falcons and Eagles play on Thursday night. As I said, I'll be on Periscope for that. I have the Atlanta Falcons winning that. Carson Wentz not starting. Nick Foles he was hurt a little bit in training camp as well. The Falcons, I think they go to Philly, sneak away with a close victory. Last year as well, the defending Super Bowl champion, the New England Patriots, they lost the opening game of the season against the Kansas City Chiefs as Kareem Hunt ran all over their defense. I think Devontae Freeman will have a decent game. I think it'll be close. The Atlanta Falcons get out of Philadelphia with a win. The Jacksonville Jaguars then go to the New York Football Giants. Saquon Barkley versus the Jaguars defense. Saquon, he'll have a decent game, first NFL regular season game for him. He'll get welcome to the NFL, sometime soon, and it'll be a good game. Maybe I might be on Periscope for this, because this game is supposedly going to be on in my area at 1 o'clock on Sunday, September the 9th. But I got to take the Giants over the Jaguars. The Buccaneers then go to New Orleans to play the Saints. Mark Ingram is suspended for 4 games, like I said, but they still have Alvin Kamara at running back. The Bucs do not have Jameis Winston, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he's a good backup, and that's basically all he's ever been. But New Orleans, too tough for Tampa Bay, so New Orleans defeats Tampa Bay on Sunday. The Texans go to Foxborough to play the New England Patriots for the second year in a row. Last year, the Texans almost came away with a win. The Patriots won, I believe, on a game-winning field goal. And then a week later, Deshaun Watson went down with an injury, and then his season was done. He'll bounce back first game this season. I think it'll be close. The Patriots, they'll probably win, but I'm picking the Texans. The 49ers go to Minnesota to play the Vikings. Dalvin Cook coming back from injury as well. There's a lot of injuries last year in the NFL. A lot of ACL knee injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo, first full season now as a San Francisco 49er quarterback. The Vikings are playing at home though, so Skull, I think the Vikings pick up a close win, potentially in an overtime game on Sunday afternoon. So Vikings over the San Francisco 49ers. The Pittsburgh Steelers go to Cleveland again to open the season. I think Pittsburgh's going to win this. I think it'll be a close game as well. Cleveland, yeah, they brought in a lot of pieces to help out this year, unlike they have in recent years. Or, yeah, they'll say they have, but yeah, obviously it didn't work out because they went 0-16 last year. They're going to try to win their first game in almost 2 years come Sunday. I don't think it happens. I think Pittsburgh sneaks out of Cleveland with a win. That's the game I'll probably be on Periscope for come Sunday. The Chiefs and Chargers open the season in a early season AFC West showdown in Los Angeles. The Chargers, I think, will get to Patrick Mahomes, second-year quarterback, who has only played one game in his NFL career. I believe it was the last or next last game last year. I think the Chargers will get to him and have him make some early mistakes. The Chargers will get out to an early lead and they won't look back. So the Chargers, I think, will defeat the Chiefs. The Seahawks go to Denver to play the Broncos. This is a rematch of Super Bowl 48. The Seahawks, I think they're better than Denver, even with Denver's overall decent team. Case Keenum, yeah, like I said, he's coming off his best year of his career. Watching a Pittsburgh Pirate game right now. They have been shit in the bed as of late, but I believe that was Adam Frazier who just hit a home run. So the Pirates are up 1-0 on this Labor Day afternoon. That was Adam Frazier who hit that home run. But Denver, like I said, they got Bradley Chubb and Von Miller on the D-line. Play outside linebacker as well. They got Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders at wide receiver. Royce Freeman, a lot of hope for him in Denver this year. Case Keenum, as I said, coming off the best year of his career, quarterback now with the Denver Broncos. But Seattle, I think, is going to be too much for the Denver Broncos. So the Seahawks defeat Denver on Sunday afternoon. The Cowboys go to Carolina to play the Panthers. I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this. I think it's going to come down to the running game. You'll have Ezekiel Elliott going up against Christian McCaffrey. Dallas will win a close one. That game is at 4:25 Eastern Time on Fox. The Bears then will go to Green Bay on Sunday night to open the season. The Packers are playing at home. I think this will be another close game. I think all these games are going to be close this weekend. I'll say that. Sorry, I don't have to keep saying that. Yeah, I probably will. But the Packers, I think they'll defeat the Bears come Sunday night. I might be on Periscope for that as well. I don't know. We'll see. And then the Jets play the Lions in the first game on Monday night. And then the Rams and Raiders play for the second time in as many weeks. Also on Monday night, the late game on Monday night at 10:15. The Jets, they go to Detroit. Matthew Stafford up against Sam Darnold. I had somebody tell me last week they think Darnold reminds them a lot of Matthew Stafford. I said, yeah, I can see that. I agree with him on it. I think Matthew Stafford's NFL experience, though, will be too much for the rookie quarterback, and the Lions will defeat the New York Jets. And then the Rams and Raiders, as I said, will play late Monday night. I think the Raiders will be too much for the Rams. Another close game, as I said, I think all of them will be. But those are my Week 1 NFL predictions, along with my 2018 NFL preview. So thanks for watching. Be sure to follow Gridiron Ring on all social media. Links are in the description below. Be sure to go. Be sure to follow me on Periscope as well, CoinLuke96. I will be on Periscope for games this upcoming weekend. And be sure to go check out my Week 2 college football predictions, and stay tuned for new videos next week for college football Week 3 predictions with Week 2 recap, and NFL Week 2 predictions with a Week 1 recap. So I will see everybody in those videos.